because I actually needed to write the title up, and then it wouldn't accept the title because it was too long. So then I had to change it. But anyway, welcome to Wednesday night's healing. I know I haven't given you much notice, but I am actually looking forward to this healing because I feel it's quite important. So I will commence. But before I do, if you enjoy these healings, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know, ding, 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 do all of that. And share them with friends, you know, do them again. Hi, Vanya. Do them again with a friend. Share them around if you can. Hi, Matea. And really get a community going. Hi, Yasna. Because to me, these healings, you know, I am very grateful that I feel inspired to do these healings, because there's nothing worse than not feeling inspired, which is why I do them, you know, because I'm working with people one-on-one. I sometimes work with groups. Hi, Erica and Matea. So welcome to this evening's healing. So it's really beneficial when you come together as a group, because the energy gets expanded. And it makes it more powerful sometimes for people to receive the healing, which is excellent. But yeah, I really like it when people share them, when you kind of, hi Matea, when you gather together sometimes in small groups. I know sometimes there's groups of people that come together to do these healings as a small group, all the meditations as well. Hi Sasha and Dean, hello. So I'm very grateful that I do get inspired to do these, and I'm also grateful to those of you who actually do the pay what you can system. I know I don't speak about it much because I don't want to, in a way, I don't want to push people, especially in the economic climate that we're in. But if you feel that you've received something from these healings, then it's always nice to have an exchange, you know. So if you feel inspired, you can go to my website and donate, or you can just, I think most of you know my PayPal account or something like that, but basically go to the website. Hi Neda. And, you know, you can make an exchange for the energy and time that you've received, and everything gets put into balance. So tonight's healing, I feel, is a very interesting aspect of control. We often say we want to receive, you know, oh yeah, I really want to receive. I really want, you know, for this thing to come into my life, or people to come into my life and help me with this, or co-create this with me. But often, because we have been controlled, we perceive people's help as being controlling. And it can stop you from actually receiving what you're meant to receive, and from co-creating in a very nice manner. Because it's like you get, hi Astrid, you get, what can I say? I just have to put my glasses on. A joyful, happy new year. Hi, Katya, that's beautiful. Yeah. So, yeah, well, hopefully everybody had a great New Year's, or at least a calm one. So, yeah, when you think about the fact that you may feel that someone is being controlling towards you, maybe they're helping. Look, I know women will often say to me, oh, I really want a man who's going to come and sweep me off my feet, you know, my knight in shining armor, and do all of these things for me, and I wouldn't even have to ask. And then sometimes I say it, I say, no, you don't. And they go, what do you mean I don't? And I said, because if the man came in and did that, you'd come to me and saying, oh my God, he's controlling everything in my life. Because you see help and receiving as control. And this is an energy frequency that, you know, most of us have. And it stops us from moving forward and flowing with things, because we start to see the people that have come in to help us as the enemy. Or sometimes when someone helps us, in order to get our power back, we have to then do something to that person to feel more powerful than that person. You know, it's like, okay, I'll give you I'll go back into relationships again. I'll give you that one, even though there's plenty of examples. So say you meet someone and you go out for a lovely dinner and they treat you nicely and you feel really good. Often what women will do is then overgive. So because they've received something, they feel, okay, I've been disempowered here because I've had to be in the vulnerable position of receiving, because receiving is a very vulnerable position. So now, in order to take my power back and to feel equal, or in some cases more powerful, I'm going to have to give them more than what they gave me. And so then the next time they see this person, they'll give them, I don't know, cashmere sweater. I mean, I often say to them, don't go giving a cashmere sweater for a meal out, or your body, or whatever it is that you're giving to this person to have power, to gain your power back, because you feel you've equated receiving with control and you feel you've been controlled or overpowered. And this is a very sensitive healing. It's a complicated conversation, because it happens mostly in relationships, right? Or sometimes it can happen in friendships, but it's mostly in relationships or work situations. Yeah. So in a work situation, if you have people who are constantly the one that has to be the noticed one, you know, the best one at everything, the one who needs all the attention, so they're giving out, they're getting exhausted. My advice is just to sit there and let them exhaust themselves, but then I see it differently to most. So then you find yourself going into a power struggle because this person is controlling through overgiving, extending their energy. And then you may find yourself in a situation where either you don't feel good enough because you're not giving as much as they are, or extending yourself in the same way. And, you know, it can get messy in the workplace when it gets like that. So what guidance, I think it was 2 days ago, actually, this is what came. Sometimes I get these things earlier. Sometimes I get them an hour before I do the healing. I'll get a big download and go, oh yeah, okay, that's it. But it probably was, I was probably talking to someone or working with someone, and I walked off and I got that, and I wrote it down. And it was literally giving to control. So do you give to control? Do you give because it's easier for you to give than it is for you to receive? Do you give because you want to not only control the situation, be in charge of the situation, but also seek some sort of approval? And sometimes we overgive for the wrong reasons. Sometimes we control for the wrong reasons. And sometimes we perceive other people's giving as controlling, when really all they're doing is helping. And I know that can happen also with your parents, right? So I've just had that come into my head, like my mum's a big control freak. She's a cleaner. She cleans everything. She's up at 5. She's got the washing machine on. It's the badge of honor is to have the house so clean and so organized that, you know, you could eat off the floor, is the expression. You could sit down and eat literally off the floor. So my mum would control through being a perfectionist in that way. And so whenever she would come and visit us, or we would go to her place, she would always pick on us. You know, she would always sort of go, oh, you're not doing it good enough. Come here, let me do it. She'd get impatient with you. And things like this. So the way that we would feel intimidated and we would feel controlled by her incessive cleaning, her need to clean all the time. And whenever she'd come to visit one of us, we'd all sort of bitch to each other and go, oh, you know. Anyway, I through years of working, I figured out what it was all about. So I started to have a list for my mother. So my mother would come to visit me, and she would normally say, oh, you know, you're not very good at this, or you're not very good at that. So then I just got a list and I said, you know, Mum, you know I'm not very good at these things. I'm not good at keeping the house in order and everything, but I'm so grateful that you're here. And look, I made this list of all the things that you could help me with, and I'd really appreciate it if you helped me do this. If you know, Mum go, oh, I'll do it for you, you know. And of course, then when I got married, Yanni would have all of his sewing that needed to be done, anything like that. And they would have this private joke amongst each other. Oh, yes, I understand what Susan's like, so don't worry, darling, I'm here to rescue you. I'll do it. And I never worried about it. It was fabulous because, in fact, I got to have my house spring cleaned, everything put into order, everything done, and I didn't have to pay someone to do it, and I didn't have to do it myself. And then, you know, when my mum would leave, I'd be sad, and, you know, I would have had a good time with her, and my sisters would say to me, how come you had such a good time with Mum? You know, why are you so sad when she's leaving? And then I told them my secret, and they all started doing it. I hope to God my mother doesn't see this video. My sisters will, but my mother won't. She doesn't have internet, which is great. But you know, Matea, so you know the situation. And so that's how they control. They control through doing all of this stuff, and we're receiving it as control. But really, for them, it's coming from the guise of love, because they perceive the clean house and all of this is an expression of love. It's an expression of who a woman is. It's an expression of, you know, and we literally swang to the other side of that, where women now are very proud that they don't cook and they don't clean and they don't sew and they don't do anything, which is too far away. You know, and some are very proud of the fact they don't even look after their own kids or change a nappy or anything like that. That's really not honoring the divine feminine. So we have to find a balance. But what I want to go back to is the fact that when we feel that someone like your mum is probably always, like my mum would always say, or other people would say to me, you know, why don't you do it like this? Why don't you do it like that? And I would just be like, oh, you know. And you know when you say, well, it doesn't feel right for me or something, but why, you know, you're just making life difficult for yourself and everything. Now what I say is, that's a great idea. I'm really going to give that some thought. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. So now what I've done is I've created a bridge between that person, and I'm telling you, it all stops. The moment that I say thank you, I acknowledge that they have been heard, that their idea is a good one. I don't say I'm going to do it. I say I'm going to give it some thought. And I do that, then it completely stops. So if you feel that a parent or a friend is overstepping the mark because they love you and they want your life to be perfect, so they're busy controlling in a way, and that makes us feel what? What does it make you feel when someone around you is trying to give you something and you're receiving it as control? What does it make you do? You kind of freeze up, don't you? You get really tight, and you don't want to talk to them, or you don't want to see them as often, and you're reluctant to share with them certain things, and you know, you close up a bit. And so what does the closing up do? The closing up actually suffocates your energy and stops you from receiving, not just from that person, but from everything else, the universe, random strangers, all of that stuff. So it stops you from receiving because you perceive receiving as control. So we become tight. Our energy becomes tight. And if we've had years and years and years, like I had years and years and years, you know, with a mother like that. Like literally every 3 months, we had to what my mum would call spring clean the house. So we had to wash all the walls, take everything out of the cupboards, clean all inside the cupboards, clean everything that was in the cupboards, then put it back in the cupboards, clean the skirting boards, the light fittings, the curtains. I mean, literally everything, every 3 months. So when you have that level of control around, you know, it's like being in a goldfish bowl, everything that you do, you honestly perceive receiving as something that is very controlling and unpleasant. So then someone would come into my life and say, hey, Susan, I'll help you with this. And I go, no, thanks, I'm fine. And I would really struggle. And then I'd break down, cry and say, God, why isn't anyone helping me? Why am I always alone in doing this? Meanwhile, probably 3 people or 5 people have asked to help me and I've said no. So there you go. So always say yes under certain conditions. And it's like I said earlier, sometimes we go, yeah, we'll get that. But then we feel we have to give back just as much or a little bit more because now we have to make it even, right? And the hardest thing to do, and I remember when I went through this, the hardest thing to do is not to give anything back at all. You know, that I would think, okay, Spirit would say to me, Susan, don't do anything. And I'd be going, what do you mean don't do anything? I have to do something. No, accept it. And I remember a friend said to me, it was a huge challenge. They said, you know, I'm coming to where you live and I want to go on a spiritual journey and I'd like you to come with me, and I'm offering to pay for the whole thing. It was this amazing trip. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, if I let this person pay for this trip, what do I owe them? You know, what exchange is going to happen? I can't possibly repay them. At that point in my life, I wasn't in a position where I could repay them. And I felt really, oh, I don't know. And Spirit kept saying to me, do it. Just do it. You'll have an amazing experience. Just do it. But they said, do it and don't feel shame or guilt that you are not giving that person, you know, doing everything for that person. In other words, do it, but don't give them everything that's, you know, like, listen to everything they say, do everything they want to do, nothing that you want to do, and all this sort of thing. So I did say yes, and I did go, and it was an amazing trip. But there were definitely times when it was tense because that person had expectations of me and I chose not to meet them, which was very difficult because I knew that they had spent probably $30,000 on my trip. And I was like, shit, that's a lot of money. And I had to really wrestle with myself. Well, I wasn't being mean or anything. It was just they were expecting just a little bit too much from me. You know, when you are the way that I am, I will have people say, why does that person think like that? And then they would ask me 1,000 questions all day long. They would want me to be tuned in and giving them answers to every single thing that went on in their life. So in other words, it's not a rest or holiday for me. It's just work, and I am completely exhausted. So in this instance, I chose to only answer a few things and not others. And that became a problem. But I actually felt okay about it because I thought, if that person was giving to control me and receive something, but offering it in the spirit of, you know, this is with no strings attached and everything, then that's the way I'm going to receive it. And what's interesting is that after I did that, and I really felt clear about it, a whole load of other things started to happen. And I started to receive from the most unlikely situations, but also without an expectation. So people just, like, you know, when you give a present to someone, you just want to give it to them because you want them to feel good, because you want to express your love for that person and your gratitude towards that person with no expectation of receiving anything back. And that's the spirit in which I receive. And that's the spirit in which I give. So that's what I mean by that, you know. And you can be challenged by it, but it's up to you to go, no, I'm not being controlled. I'm going to receive this, but I'm certainly not going to be controlled. And that will break it, right? Sometimes that's what you need to experience. I'm not saying that everyone has to experience it like that. But I think you all know what I'm talking about, that whole essence of equating receiving with control. This person or this world isn't going to give me anything unless I surrender a part of myself. Like, you know, you hear people say all the time, I have to give everything just to get a little bit, you know. I never get anything. I have to give them everything that I have just to get a little tiny thank you or a little this, you know. And it can make you feel really resentful because you feel like you're giving everything, and you're not getting anything back. And the reason you're not getting anything back is because you have a control issue around receiving. You have a control issue around giving. So it's that whole thing of that. It's like a door between the giving and the receiving, and its name is control. And so it's not allowing the flow to, when the door's open, the flow's great, everything goes perfectly. But when there's a wall there and the door's shut, it doesn't allow either, because you don't give with an open heart. You give with an expectation, or you give to the point of exhaustion and you're not getting anything back. And I'm not talking about getting back from the actual person that you're giving to. I'm talking about getting back from the greater good, you know, from the universe, from God, or whatever, you know. When I choose to give, it's because I honestly feel I have the time, the energy, the motivation. Yeah, it feels right to do it, but I don't expect anything back in return. I mean, I'm not saying that I've always been like that. What I'm saying is that's how I am now. And it gets to a point where you have to learn that lesson of, am I, you know, allowing this to come in, or am I not? Because what's it going to cost me? You know, what is this help going to cost me? And what I'm saying is it doesn't really have to cost you anything. I'm not talking about taking either. That's a whole other subject. But it doesn't have to cost you anything, because if the person chooses to give to you, whether or not they have a control around it is up to them. It's got nothing to do with you. If you choose to accept it, you do not have to accept the hidden terms and conditions. You know how they have these hidden terms and conditions in different things that you purchase or you participate in online? Yeah, well, you don't have to accept that because it's hidden, right? So if people are going to give, they need to do it openly and honestly and not with something behind it. So yeah, that's what we're going to work on. So think about, or feel into, more than think about, feel into your body and where you hold your resistance to receiving, and see if you can feel that tightness, that control, that are they trying to control me with this receiving, you know? See if that's it. Is there a power struggle in the receiving and the giving? Because it happens a lot in families, doesn't it? Where, you know, well, you're not going to get this when I die if you don't do that. I said a long time ago, I'll create my own, I don't need yours. And that really sets you free when you do that. When you just say, if you're going to play that stick with me, bye. Because I will create my own. I don't need yours. If I if you want me to come and see you, it has to be with the spirit of love and no games attached, right? So that's specifically with parents, right? Because we've all been manipulated by parents. Yeah, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. I had one, my grandmother was dying from when I was born, and she didn't die till she was almost 102. So, you know, I think she died, what? Not that long ago, she died. So I spent most of my life hearing, if you don't do this, your grandmother's going to die, you know. And it was horrible because I always felt controlled by that and emotionally controlled by it. And then at one point I just said, look, I can't take this anymore. If you're going to die, die, but don't wave that stick at me. I've got to be free. I've got to live my own life. I have to move. I have to do things. I can't just, you know, be here all the time for you when you've been saying this to me for 30 years, you know. So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you at some point you have to turn around and say, some people use the control stick to actually control you, right? And that is why when other people come and offer you something with their heart, you don't want to take it because you equate it with control. And at some point, even if there is control attached to it, or not even control, but there might be a bargain with it or something, you can take it and you can just say, look, that wasn't in the agreement. Sorry, I'm not doing it. It's like with me, you know, people will say to me, oh, come and do this and come and do that. And I go and I have, you know, particularly when I was younger, I had no idea it was a working holiday for me, not a holiday. It was a working holiday. And I'd be completely exhausted by the time I got home. So I tend not to go on holidays with people. I tend not to do these things much for that reason. So think about how this control that you've received, maybe some of you all your life, and sometimes it's in very subtle ways, isn't it? Like with my grandmother, oh, this could be her last Christmas. Oh, you don't want to upset your grandmother, she's got a weak heart. Don't tell her that, love. Don't tell her you're moving. Don't do this, don't do that, you know. There's these little subtle ways in which we're controlled as well. And those ways literally put a door on our energy to receiving, to living life freely, because we 100% equate receiving with control, because that's what it's been. So I want you to think about, where are you holding that in your body? Where are you feeling it? Like, is it in your belly? Is it in your chest? Is it in your back? Is it in your, you know, your hips? Where are you feeling it? It's very, and there may be, where you're feeling it, it may be a cord into a family tree, like it's a family thing that people have, or it could even be a past life that you remember. You might have dreamt about it, that when parents don't want you, that you worry about them, but you feel it in your bones and they're not okay and you care too much. Well, yeah, that's the whole thing of well, that one is equating love with worry. Yeah. If I worry, that means I love. I'm expressing love through worry. And the thing is, if your parents are saying to you that they're okay, but you're picking up maybe that they're not okay, it could be also that your sensitivities are picking up unspoken words. That can be a real pain in the backside, because what they're saying and what you're feeling are two different things. And possibly that happens with a lot of people. I mean, it happens all the time, constantly. People tell you one thing, but behind that sentence or that conversation is something completely different. So what you can do with that situation is to honour their need to hide something from you, because they don't want to hurt you, because they love you, because they're wanting to protect you in some way. So they're clearly hiding something, and you're picking up on it. Look, honestly, I get that all the time. I used to, years ago, I was quite blunt about it. And, you know, I'd wait for like half an hour into a reading or something, and then I'd just look at the person and say, why are you wasting my time lying to me? And they'll go, what do you mean? I said, well, you just sat here for half an hour and you've contradicted yourself at least 3 times with this, this, and this. And you've actually lied to me. And I don't understand why you would come and see someone like me and pay me to lie. You're lying to me. You know, so if you really want to get to the core of this, or you really want help, then you've got to start by telling me the truth. And then, you know, then you go around in circles for 15 minutes as to why and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, over the years, I just decided, okay, if people want to come and lie to me, they can. And it's up to them. It's not for me to bring out the truth in people. And it's interesting, because when you sit with the truth in yourself, Mariana, when you go to see your parents, you take a breath, really calm yourself. When you see them, really calm yourself, and just think, when you're breathing in like we do in the meditation, like I am love. On the exhale, all is love, and you're just sitting there. I am truth, all is truth. Let the truth be revealed. And you don't say anything. You don't try to get anything out of them. You don't try to convince them to tell you the truth or anything. Just do that. And it could take you going there 2 or 3 times, then eventually they're going to tell you the truth. Why? Because of your stillness. Because of the energy that you're emanating will start to hit them, you know, hit their energy, and they'll feel uncomfortable. Like, that's how I kind of stopped it. I started to do that, work with energy more than words, because you're already realizing that the energy is speaking to you over the words, right? So then you have to speak with energy. So I would just let the people lie to me, and I'd sit there and I'd start breathing and thinking these things, looking at them, the truth can be revealed, and then suddenly they'll start crying and say, well, it wasn't really like that, it was like this, and oh God. You know, I've actually had clients come to my door with flowers and stuff and apologizing to me for that shit. So all I'm saying is, if you are an energetic being, which it sounds like you are, because you're receiving something energetically above the words, then the only way you can handle it is energetic, because that's your primary voice. So that's what I would do if I were you. Just and it, as I said, it could take you going there a few times before they actually tell you the truth, and that's okay too. I believe they're doing it out of love, so I don't think it's a bad thing so much as I think it's a loving expression, which perhaps isn't right for you, because, you know, you're thinking you could, you know, when people don't actually tell you the truth and you're picking up on an energy, and you're really close to that person, you can perceive it as anything. Oh my God, they got cancer, or they're having a heart attack, or they're in debt. Or, you know, you'll jump to conclusions. And you can also say that to people. I've said that to people too. Look, if you don't tell me what's going on, I'll jump to the worst shit in my head you could possibly think of. So you may as well tell me. It can't be worse than what I'm thinking, right? So there's that side of it as well. So anyway, let's get back to this control situation. So I want you to think about how you prevent yourself from receiving by perceiving that someone giving to you is control. And I just need to say this, that there are people that do that. We all meet people who do that. So does that mean that when you do this healing, that that's going to stop happening to you, that you know, people who like to control are going to stop coming in your life under the guise of giving? No. You'll just know what it is and you'll say, no, thank you. You'll be very clear, no, I don't want that. No, thanks, I'm fine, right? Because you'll feel it. It's a different energy. When you feel someone wanting to give to you out of genuine caring and love and excitement, you know, you're happy to receive it. But if you feel that someone wants to give to you because they want something back at a later date, or they want information from you, or they want your expertise, or something like that, then you say no. And that stops the resentment, because resentment comes when you say yes and you're disappointed. Resentment comes when you keep going in to the situation and receiving from that person, and once again and again and again they're controlling you, or they're manipulating you, or they're doing something like that, and then you get resentful of not only them but yourself, because once again you've experienced it. So coming from the heart, when the heart is clear, you can step back and go, oh yeah, no, this doesn't feel right. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to receive it. It's, you know, when you get offered a job, sometimes it's just everything. And so I want you to think about, where in your body do you hold that tension of fear around receiving, of, like I said, equating receiving with control. You might say control and manipulation as well, but control mainly. Because I'm telling you, there's a door there. And when the door's closed to receiving, it means that you don't receive as freely the rest of what's on offer. So life becomes more stop-start than flow. Right? So that's what we want to work on. So I need you to find it in your body where you're storing that resistance. Okay. And it could be okay, let's look at it like this. Can also be lifetimes of control, being controlled. It just went out for a moment, so I'm hoping it's back on. Yeah? Okay, yeah, it's back on. So very gently take 3 deep breaths. Closing your eyes, allowing yourself to get comfortable, and I ask that you don't do this whilst driving a car or anything like that. Make sure you're relaxed. You're sitting or laying down, and you have this time you've dedicated to yourself right now to receive a healing, to receive some answers and some freedom. So now, feeling into your body very gently. Where do you hold the tension when you think about receiving? You might even want to think about something you'd really love to receive, something that you secretly want, that you've always wanted. And I want you to feel where the tension hits in your body when you think about that. Very good. I want you to breathe into that part of your body as if it's a door. And as you breathe into that part of your body, understand that your entire body is being filled with light. This beautiful healing light. And it's coming up to that doorway, that resistance, that pressure, that place in your body. And it's filling it with love and light and relaxing that part of your body. And as it does, it's releasing you from all cords, all discordant energies, all inverted matrix frequencies of a collective consciousness and morphic field possession of all entities, beings that are holding it in place, whether it's incarnated or discarnated. And all the subtle bodies out from your physical body that are also holding this energetic signature of equating, receiving with control, with being controlled. With being silenced, being enslaved in some way. Can't talk, can't do, can't be. All the subtle bodies out from the physical body, all the way out, down the 7 subtle bodies. And all those discordant frequencies, chords, morphic, collective, conscious, entities, incarnate, discarnate, all self-invocations where you've said, no, I'm not going to do that. No, that's not happening. No, it's not possible. No, I'm not going to receive that. No, they're just trying to control me. No. These are self-made invocations. They're like little curses that you make on yourself. It's never going to happen for me. No one will ever do that for me. All of those words spoken, not only in this life but in other lives, create a little ball, tight ball of energy that's held within the makeup of your field and corded to your chakras, anchored to a place in the world, a country or a person. These are being released now as we very gently fill your body with light and love. And you begin to relax, begin to understand that your quantum body, your quantum self, your quantum ears, quantum knowing is able to receive this healing and allow it to penetrate all the subtle bodies right into the physical reality of 3D, right into your bones. Okay. All energetic systems that co-created this, that bound you to it through oaths, promises, invocations, your own promises, your own contracts and their contracts, vows, commitments, and oaths that you have made to be controlled, that you have made to connect receiving with being controlled. Everywhere where you've done that is now being released because you're choosing to release it. Because the time is now and miracles happen right now. And the cosmic energies are all aligned right now to remove these cords, these timelines, these energetic signatures, these fragments, these discorded frequencies from you. Everywhere where you allowed it, you agreed to it, you aligned to it, it's being released because it no longer serves you. And I want you to open the door of that part of your body and let the light shine out. We're going to hook you up to the morphic field and the collective consciousness, the energetic signature of it is safe for me to receive. And I am open and ready to receive the highest frequencies of the universe for my highest good and the good of all. I am open and ready to receive the highest frequencies from the universe for my highest good and the good of all. And all the universe universal energies align just for you in perfect harmony. To recalibrate all your subtle bodies, your physical reality, to recalibrate what you are connected to with regards to morphic and collective consciousness fields. Very good. So I'm going to allow you to continue receiving this flow from the universe that's aligned especially for you. These cosmic rays coming down, permeating your cells, transforming your DNA, aligning you with your unlimited possibilities of God's grace. Just breathe. I know for some of you the energy is quite strong. Just breathe, relax. Know that every cell in your body is being heightened, recalibrated into a divine alignment. You're meant to receive all that you require, all that brings you peace, harmony, full expression of your gifts. You've chosen this moment to be free. So I'm going to allow you to just bathe in this energy and relax. I'm going to finish the transmission over YouTube, but I'm going to continue the transmission energetically through the night. And if it's the daytime for you now, then it will continue when you go to sleep tonight. But through the night, this divine alignment, configuration, recalibration will continue in all of your cells, reaching deep into your DNA and beginning to unravel it. Lots of love.